Hey, you wonderful people. Hope this finds you well. How are you feeling? How are you doing? So, here we are. We are very firmly moving into the month of August. We are seeing July just kind of dissolve behind us. And I felt it was an important time to move into this energy update for August, because there is a sense of so much happening, but I kind of felt this nudge to share it now. Maybe it will then help us navigate that time ahead. Um, I think the main theme for this month, for August, is a sense of increased adjustment. Now, if we kind of look, as a good friend reminded me a few days ago, we are moving a little bit more deeply into the Lion's Gate. And if we take a moment just to kind of look at that metaphorically, look at that symbolically, look at that from a energetic point of view, think of the words, think of the image, think of the whole archetype of the lion. Okay, what comes to mind for me, and that would be something I would really kind of encourage all of you to do, is take some time, sit quietly, just kind of go within, take some deep cleansing breaths in, and just kind of take a moment and ask yourself, what does the lion show you? What is the lion teaching you? What is the lion calling up from deep inside of you? Some of the feelings and energy that comes to mind for me, what comes up is a feeling of sovereignty, but also this sense of reclaiming our sovereignty. And I think that, is showing up in so many ways. Some of the ways that I'm seeing it show up, because of the world that I kind of move around in, is grassroots communities being rebuilt. And when I say being rebuilt, it gives us the kind of understanding or the idea that once they were built and now they're being rebuilt. And in some ways, that's absolutely the truth of the matter, because what we're getting is a sense of community being reborn. And you're getting all these kind of micro communities that are beginning to work organically between each other, with the sole purpose to nourish, nurture, inspire, educate. And for me, I'm seeing people to kind of reclaim their ability to be able to grow their own food. A beautiful example of that, or learn how to harness their own energy using solar and wind, and being able to kind of harness and filtrate water. What we've got, I think, is a sense of a circle and a cycle being almost kind of refound again, as if everything's moving in a circular motion, as if everything is being reset or rebalanced, or both. And maybe actually to rebalance, it needs to be reset. A lot of people, have said, when's this going to end? The current global event that we're all living in, and some of the feelings that I've got around that is that, well, the world previous to that actually was holding on by a thread. It was barely working, and the fact that now the world is no longer working in its old form shows us that it wasn't working. And actually, in fact, this is a huge opportunity for us to get behind what the time ahead can look like. it is a very, very powerful reset. So I think, we're living in a very dynamic month of facing change. Um, and at some level, kind of maybe as well avoiding conflict, because I think there is this real kind of feeling that, if we kind of look out into the world and we look at the large major governments around the world, there is this reactive kind of movement between some of them where everything is feeling kind of reactive. Rather than directional. It's kind of these reactional responses. So, maybe that's why we're getting a sense of, it's a month of facing change. That change has been unraveling for some time, for a long time, in fact. As I had a dear friend many winters back see and dream of this big huge wall going over, and I've shared that before. So that change is unraveling and been unraveling for some time, but this feeling of avoiding conflict, because everything is feeling very raw, everything's feeling very kind of raw, as if the layers are falling away. And of course, as the layers fall away, we get this sense of vulnerability or feeling exposed, and we're going to want to kind of, without realizing it sometimes and subconsciously, kind of defend our space. And that may be, what's showing up in the world theatre as well, is that, countries are feeling very, very vulnerable. What was known is no longer known. What was almost consistent or maybe even predictable has become unpredictable. And there's other conversations that we can have about all of that as well, when we say, was it, is it unknown, or was it, or is there, some sort of deeper motive or agenda. I think all of that stuff crosses over, but there is this sense of, the layers falling away, and of course there's a rawness to that, and then there becomes a vulnerability, so it's easy to move into conflict. I think, it's about gently taking care of our own worlds. At the same time, we are moving into that kind of energy. Like I said to you, I'm seeing lots of grassroots communities are being born. I think there is a real kind of importance to kind of take care of our own spaces, and literally, I know many people around me have had major clear outs. Kind of out goes the old, and incoming the new. There's this whole feeling of making some hard choices. Also, another theme that's come up is practicing protection. And I know that in the last few weeks I've seen that come up for people around me. I know just before the full moon on Sunday evening, I was walking back up towards their humble little home, and I looked up at the window and thought that window needed to clean. Started to clean it. The next thing I know, I'm taking out all the trash, I'm sweeping, I'm mopping, I'm cleaning, I'm bagging up old bedding and old things that can then go to a charity shop. I smudged the house with Palo Santo from top to bottom. I performed a door cleanse. If you'd like to know more about the door cleanse, there is a video. I will see if I can find it. If not, on my next video, I will bring the door cleanse in. And maybe what I do actually is do a whole new video on the door cleanse. That was then, this is now. I've just got a nudge then in that moment. That was then, this is now. So next video, in between the energy updates, I will do a door cleanse. video and kind of give you some insights into that. But I felt a real kind of necessity, tongue tied, to do a door cleanse. And within that process, you literally clean the door inside and out. You inscribe a magic sigil into the door. There is a rite and there is a kind of ritual. There is a form of magic, as I've said in many of my videos before. I don't undertake magic lightly. It's something that I like to sit with before I move into. I want to understand why there is a feeling or a requirement to use or work with that energy. And I listen very deeply, but the times I have, it's been very profound, and there's many stories that can be shared around that and what happens thereafter. So I've done the door cleanse, very simple magic. So there is this feeling of practicing protection, releasing old patterns, but not just releasing old patterns, but really getting into their roots as well, kind of really getting into the fibers and the fabric of things, and kind of pulling them out at the root, which is massively powerful. I know that I've had lots of kind of memories just almost randomly just pop up from the past, and there is this feeling of them just being dissolved, and that's been interesting. We are navigating intense adjustments, increased adjustments, but there is this feeling of acceptance and grace and flexibility kind of rising up from the deep parts of those roots. I think we have come to the hardest rapid, so to speak, in the river that we find ourselves in. And you can kind of sit in that eddy, if you like, holding on. And holding on really, really tightly. But I feel, it is about just kind of gently letting go, and sometimes we can be holding on so tightly. We're holding on to that eddy through a sense of fear without realising it sometimes, and I think it's about being compassionate with ourselves and understanding that it's okay, and to gently just try to let go, rather than holding on, which is what we were talking about. We can go through it reactively or proactively, and it's not always easy to do that, is it? It's not always easy to kind of move into something proactively rather than reactively, but I think it's about trying to nurture that awareness that we try to move into things proactively. One of the things that I've said many times that comes up quite a bit within my consultations is to stop, pause, and try to connect with that. I just got a battery, low battery. It should be fine. Again, listening, thinking, feeling. So to move into it proactively with the right kind of approach and determination, turning that fear into you kind of almost an excitement of leaping forwards, knowing that we actually can't turn back, and we can't continue to sit in that eddy, or we can't go back up river, because it just isn't a good option. Plus there's something inside of us that won't allow us to. We can't go sideways, we can't go backwards. The only way is to be taken forwards. This can be a very scary time for many, and an unknown quality that is kind of surfacing around, the future. And that can add to the fear, or it can, in a way kind of inspire us to, there's a whole new world opening up to us, a whole new realm of possibilities. Like I say, all these kind of communities that are popping up organically, and people sitting and sharing ideas and bringing unique skill sets together. You know, that is just, incredible. It's a beautiful time to focus on the space that's being created, that's being born, instead of what is being lost. Okay, because there's so much we've known that is being lost, but yet so much is also being born, and that, that's incredible and exciting. And if we can kind of just get hold of that and grab hold of that, it's this time of creativity and intentions and inspiration, and this whole new world being born. At the same time, the energy of this month can be harsh. It is sweeping out. It's clearing. It's almost aggressive in the sense of it's so ruthless. A negative way to handle that intensity, and increased adjustment, would be to engage in that kind of conflict, and that's not always easy, and to stubbornly hold on to those attachments that we've got from that old world as we move into this new, and it will bring up this feeling of vulnerability. But think about the lion, and it's calling us to stand in that vulnerability, in that strength, and to reclaim that sovereignty and power. It is a beautiful time of deep transformation at that level. I don't think it's a time to try to salvage. I think it's a time to acknowledge what is out of balance, what is no longer working, to face that change with acceptance, adjust what needs adjusting within our own lives. I've in these last 4 months, I've really tweaked that. I fine-tuned that myself, made some really big adjustments. Old ways of doing things are falling away, and new ways are being born, in a very practical sense, from having, numerous bikes to moving them all on, transforming them, selling them, giving them away, to, galvanize the resources to get a cargo bike, which is a game changer, which is, a part of the now rather than what was. It suits our life. These are simple things, but yet they are very powerful. So if we can acknowledge what is out of balance, face the change with acceptance, adjust what needs adjusting, and be inspired by this kind of unknown trajectory of the future, then we're looking at a blank canvas, ready for a new dream, a new colour, and a whole new reweaving of a whole new pattern, and a whole new design, and that is hugely exciting. And I understand, that loss can be painful. It has been a time of mourning, as well as also an honouring of completion, and that can be necessary. Closure to an old dream, an old relationship, an old livelihood, or an old project, or even, generally a whole way of life. Take that time, but don't allow yourself to kind of be sucked into that. Refocus, I think, as quickly as you can on the space for something new. And as we say, that whole blank canvas ready for a whole new dream. How beautiful is that? I'm going to leave that with you for now. I think I will, in a couple of weeks, pick up another aspect, energy update, in a second part, and in between I will do the door cleanse video. I'd love to know how you feel. I'd love to know how this is connected with you, and in the meantime, keep shining, and keep listening. Speak soon.